December 21st, 2012. The zombie infestation sweeps across the globe. Nearly the entire human race is destroyed by the onslaught of undead, leaving a dwindling population to suffer in the wake of chaos and horror that is the apocalypse. Only 2 men can save all of humanity. Action. Romance.
Don't kiss me.
Mud.
Puppet time.
Hey, remember when we did? Yeah, do that today.
Oh my god, is anyone there? A weekly podcast from the undead-filled wasteland that they call home.
Keep updating. Keep going.
Get away! My eye!
Being a little dramatic here.
Tune in to the Is Anyone There podcast. It may save your life.
Welcome back to Juice in the Morning podcast. This is Justin Juice Kelly, your host, and with me again is Shane Jones. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I had a really rough morning to start with. I would go on a limb and say that it might be one of the worst ones I've had in a while for a Sunday.
We had a lot of first world problems.
Yeah.
Just a lot of like spilling of things.
And the dog got out of the fence this morning, and I wanted to murder her.
That's the worst.
I'm not all for like animal violence and things like that, but at that moment I did want to beat the hell out of that
Some
dog.
very specific occasions it may call for it.
Because I'm sitting here cooking breakfast, and it's my mom's dog, and what she does is she will, when we let her out, the rest of the dogs will come in right when they're done doing their business. They're ready to come back inside.
And then one did not.
And she likes to just stare at you, and you're like, come inside, Leah, come on, let's go. Come on. And she just stares at you.
And then when you get real close, then it darts.
Then just runs away. Yeah, like a little fucker.
Yeah.
And so basically, I was like, fine, I'll just leave her out there for a minute. I'm cooking breakfast. I'm making steak and eggs, which I think is a good high protein breakfast.
Just throwing that in there.
So I'm making those, and I'm like, okay, I can like flip a couple eggs, make that, put it on a plate. 3 to 5 minutes, probably.
Did you have your juice this morning?
I did not, actually.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are getting it right now.
The juice is loose, as the Smugcast guys keep telling me to say.
There's so many cool things you can say with that.
But anyway, so I look outside and I don't see her. So I was like, shit. So I walked outside to actually see if she was maybe just hiding behind the grill, because that's what she was doing yesterday. Nowhere to be found. So I run outside the front yard. It's raining. And I look around, I don't see her, so I'm like, shit. So I just start running down the sidewalk, because I'm like, I don't want her to get towards the road. So if I see her, I'm going to try to stop her, because I don't want her to get a hit. My mom trusts me to watch her dogs for the weekend, and then she ends up with one of them dead. Like, I could not deal with that.
Yeah.
So I'm running, and then I look behind me, because I'm still not seeing her. I'm like, I don't think she'd go this far. I see just a flash of white. So she's darting in between the houses. I've got neighbors that are trying to catch her, and she's just running all over the place. So eventually I did catch her. I carried her all the way from about 6 houses down into the house and put her in jail. So she had to be in the corner for a little bit.
There's a few times when I used to have my dog that he would get out, and I just got so tired of him getting out that I was just like, well, now he lives out here. Now he's
he's an outside dog.
Yeah, now he's an outside dog. May never see him again. I don't know, but no, you just get really tired of
just chasing him. I think it's just it's annoying to me, because my pit bull will he'll stop when he hears my voice and my mean voice. He'll stop, and he just sits there and doesn't run away.
It has to do with some kind of alpha.
But the 2 girl dogs that I've met or not even girl dogs,
typical girl dogs. I'm just kidding.
Those bitches. But no, the two that I know that run away like that, they both just don't listen at all, and they just run away, and it's crazy and it's annoying. But anyways, so there was that, and then the thing that I've been dealing with a lot lately is kind of like and I apologize if you guys can hear this on the podcast. My dog is sitting outside the door whining because he can't be in the room because he'll just sit and pant the whole time. So I'm trying to figure that out right now. Jen is not here to wrangle the dogs like she usually does on Sundays. So
it's kind of the lesser of two evils. Yeah. One was a really
yeah,
and then the other one was if you
this
can hear
like
it,
squealing noise.
It's not as bad, I don't think.
Anyways, it just drives me insane though. But Jen usually wrangles the dogs, but she's out of town, so we're gonna have to just power through it. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is just having habits that. The habit that I have, like an old habit that I had was I would always lose my wallet, my keys, my cell phone. Like I would just like set them down at places in my house and just forget about them. I solved that by figuring out like I need to always put my stuff on the nightstand by my bed. And if I don't put it there, I can usually kind of backtrack to where it was and why it wasn't there. The one I can't seem to fucking figure out is the keys in the pocket when I'm like carrying stuff to my car to like either go to work or go to the gym or something like that. I always put my keys in the like whatever pocket that I seem to put all of the stuff in my hands. It doesn't matter. It's not like I always put them in my left pocket or I always put them in my right pocket. It's always the pocket that is where all the stuff I'm carrying. So I have to like awkwardly reach over, try to get them or set everything down or try to like kind of like fumble around and get it. And then I get fucking pissed off at myself because I can't figure it out. I've figured out how to break a lot of bad habits just by changing my way of thinking. I can't seem to figure this out. And it's really, it drives me insane because it happens on a daily basis.
So I don't know if this helps, but this is what I do.
Okay.
So I park my car and I look in my car and I'm like, oh, I got to take this, and this, and all 5 or 6 of these things inside. And then I'll just say, which of these items do I really need to bring inside? So sometimes they'll just have like a plethora of shit in my car because I'll just be like, I'm gonna leave this stuff and that stuff can stay here, and then it'll end up being in my car for like a month.
Well, the last couple of days, I've like been planning on going to the gym, but then I've been working a lot more hours than I planned on. So that's just one of those things that has been sitting in my car for weeks, and then I just like it's like laughing me in the face every time I get in the car, just like saying, "Hi, you're a loser. You're not going to the gym. This is still here from yesterday." But yeah, I think that there is like science out on the whole losing your stuff. At least a study done by Freud, the coked out maniac that had a lot of weird mom and dad issue type things. But he did have I think it's Freud. I think he had a study or a theory that, your brain suppresses bad memories. So like if you're pissed off about something and you set something down, you're more likely to lose that thing because of the fact that you're in a bad mood. Your brain's trying to suppress that memory and suppress the item that you lost, or trying to keep you from that mindset. So it's like eliminating everything at that moment.
That makes sense.
So I think that's a very, people can fact check me on that. You can get on Google. I don't care.
I'm sure somebody's that's wrong.
There's always somebody telling you how wrong.
I'm just going to make a bunch of shit up and then just be like, have people just rip me apart.
Well, when I used to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, I'd be like, how does he's just making this
so
up.
Easy to, like Bon Jovi said, and then it's just easy to just make shit up and like go on a whim, and like you hear something and you don't remember how specifically that you heard it or specifically how you read it. So it's easy to not say like you just butcher it because you don't remember the verb, and then they get on there and they read it like exactly, and they're like, that's not what it said.
And it's like, okay, well, you're actually looking at it in your hand right now on Google, like you're reading it word for word.
There should just be a disclaimer at the beginning of this podcast that just says like, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. I mean, maybe a little, but not really.
So sometimes we do, but most of the time it's kind of us just making it up as we go along.
Like sometimes I just like think, do I just think I know what I'm talking about?
So now we're getting into like a weird, like deep thought part because
I don't want to get too deep, too early,
because you can get down into it and think like, just like what I've been talking with people about with the Vegas thing that we talked about the last podcast, which is, there's already conspiracy people giving you all kinds of stuff that actually sounds pretty legit. Like it's like,
well, you have your whole I try to go with my gut. Like, if I feel a certain way about something, I kind of feed off of that, and try not to second guess myself too much, because when you start doing that, then you're like, I wonder, like we were talking about this earlier, like how I feel like I hate how I sound on this podcast.
Yeah.
So, but then I'm like, just don't worry about it, whatever, who cares? But like it's like you always are second guessing yourself about. But the best way to be, I feel like, is just kind of go with the way you feel. And
yeah, absolutely. The podcast today too is going to be including an actor from the Panthyon series. We've already talked with Morgan Smith and Emily Tishua, but today will be Zeus, the guy that's the main character. So he is Beau, Bowker. I'm probably saying that wrong, so we're going to talk to him.
Don't second guess yourself.
It's probably going to be like Bowker or Bowker or something like that. But anyways, we're going to have him on the podcast. We're going to talk to him, interview him, talk to him about the Panthyon. It's they're actually releasing the second episode later this week. I think it's the release date is October 17th, but we're going to be talking to him. But before we get to talking to him, I want to know, so first of all, the supervolcano in Yellowstone, that could go off at any moment.
All right,
and there's a news article out about it. Basically, scientists were like, it could happen at any time. We don't really have an idea, and it could just completely wipe out the entire Earth's population because of this thing. And my first thought was, first of all, there will be survivors. Would it be kind of like a zombie landscape where like there are some people that are like really deformed because of the fact that like they've been living under like an ash cloud and like or underground or something like that? And also, why don't we have like somebody like Bruce Willis that went up to like the asteroid in Armageddon to like, let's have an idea of how to fix this.
Or Pierce Brosnan. We were talking about this earlier. Yeah, one of these badasses need to go.
Or both of them, team them up.
Yeah.
They can drill into the mountain.
Pierce Brosnan's British, right? So it's like
I mean, he already has that like intelligent
one's like
sounding.
so fucking American, it's ridiculous, and then the other one's all like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna try.
I want to hear your British accent.
I almost went with what's his name? That it was like the old James Bond. Like, I don't know, pussy. He just says pussy a lot.
Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean Connery.
Hot shingles, you say?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's way better than mine. We should just do a podcast where we're just doing shitty impressions.
I do have one accent that I'm pretty proud of.
I'll do one and you do one.
It's Morgan Freeman, so it's more based off of when Family Guy made fun of Morgan Freeman in the Shawshank Redemption, and it's like, okay, ever since I was a young boy, people have enjoyed the sound of my voice.
That's so fucking good. Mine's not anywhere as good as that. It's real fast and real specific. So have you've seen some of my friends out there, like my buddy Calvin that listens to this, as soon as he knows exactly what I'm going to do. So Beetlejuice.
Okay.
All right. So Beetlejuice from the movie, it's played, what's his name?
Michael Keaton.
Batman.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome actor. So I do, all right, it's going to be real quick. Hey, how's it going? He just does that like good. He turns his head real fast. Hey, how's it going?
That's pretty good.
That's all I got.
That one. I like that.
And
one.
then I really want to work on what's the guy who does the moon? The guy.
Oh, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
If I could figure that one out, it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, that I would have to like.
Hello, moon.
the Morgan Freeman one.
That was like spot on, dude. I was really impressed by that.
I figured that out because for some reason I was like sitting there playing with like Snapchat or Instagram like a couple of years ago, and I was like, I looked up because I had always done that voice, but then I like looked up the actual like full script and like I did a video of like the full script, but it was like a Snapchat or something. So like, I think I should go back and do it and like actually
do like a real
save
long,
it.
Yeah. So what's the lead singer of the Foo Fighters? Dave
Grohl.
So Dave Grohl was doing an interview and he was talking about how he was on like Saturday Night Live or something, and he was what's the guy that just what we just said, the moon guy?
Oh, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't remember the dude's fucking name. Christopher Walken was introducing.
We're gonna get you a computer so you can look stuff up as you're talking.
My brain just is like, boop, it's gone. So he's introducing them on Saturday Night Live, and he's like asking him how you want it, like how is it said, and he's like, is it Foo Fighters? And he's like, he's like, ladies and gentlemen, the Foo Fighters. And it's just fucking like, I don't. And then Dave Grohl does a really good impression of it, and it just had me rolling.
I think what I want to hear is somebody to do an impression of me. Now I do. Like, I think that they...
Just a really deep... I don't think it's a really deep voice.
I think that they would... They did do it for the guys from Cincinnati, the Pointless Discussions guys. They did an episode where they basically were driving in their car listening to podcasts. So, like, they would... like shift and like do a different one, like almost like little segments.
Right.
And they were making fun of the Juice in the Morning
That's awesome.
podcast. And they did Hannah's voice, and it was great. Speaking of that, Hannah's not here today. She's out of town. She's just a jet setter, man. She likes to party and likes to have fun.
Living her life.
Yeah. And she likes
out there just living her life.
She likes to make sales and party. So
yeah, just since I've started following her on social media, I'm just like open to this whole new world of partying.
Yeah. But so basically with like I was saying, with the volcano,
Yeah.
you know, what that could be like, you know, the start to a movie. And then, you know, we are in October, and it could be the start of like a zombie movie, because that could like somehow create zombies.
Nothing like a good zombie movie.
And
so many good ones.
so what's your first one you saw?
The really old. I can't remember. There's like not from Dusk Till Dawn, but
Was it Dawn of the Dead?
And then there's
there was Day of the Dead, I think.
So the
Dawn
one,
of the Dead.
the one where they're in the mall.
Okay.
But not the most recent one they made.
It was like
but
an original.
from like the 70s or 80s or something like that. And this is really good because I always thought that was such a cool premise to like, because the mall has all that cool shit in it, and then they're locked in there and they're like going to stores and taking shit and getting guns and stuff like that. So that was the first one I ever saw. What about you?
I think, and I'm going to get shit for this from like horror fans, but I'm pretty sure George A. Romero's, I think it was Dawn of the Dead was the first one that I saw, because they're at like they're on a farm. And
and they're like have them hanging from trees,
Yep.
and they're boarding up. I've seen that one. That was probably maybe the first one I saw too.
Yeah, and then they board up all the walls and stuff, and it's almost like they're just like the zombies are like attacking and getting like trying to get in the house. And then there's like a certain scene, and you know the lady's trying to escape, and she like blows up a propane tank or something like that.
Remember the redneck dudes, and they're just hanging them from the trees, the zombies, and they're just shooting them.
Yeah,
and they're
so
just like,
weird.
Yeah,
but it's cool.
Like, any zombie movie is just like is.
I had a boss, because I was like in the process of buying my rifle, and I was like, you know, I really want an AR-15 because I want the more power. And he was like, no, man, you should do that 22, because I was looking at an AR-15 and a 22. He was like, you should do a 22. There's a lot more available ammo, and if like zombies ever came around. And I was like, wait a second. Like, you're my boss, and you're very serious a lot of the times, and like now you're starting to talk to me about
you can't just
the most reliable weapon.
Drop that in there and be like, what?
In a zombie apocalypse. So, but he was like, you know, with the 22 ammo, the gun doesn't jam that much. There's not a lot of moving parts. He was like, that's the best gun to have in like in a post-apocalyptic world with zombies. And I was
what's your favorite zombie movie?
The thing is people that are like hardcore fans will like disagree, which I don't give a shit. I think all of the like 28 Days Later and like
those
the 28 weeks later
they're made really well.
Well, the reason that people tend to argue, like purists of zombies, is like in those movies they're not really zombies, they're like rage monsters. So like they have like a virus that they're like, I think you can still kill them without shooting them in the head, but they're just like they've got that like adrenaline and like rage going so much that like if they get shot.
I see. So they're zombies.
Kind of, but not. They're not the classic zombies.
I get
they're
what
not
you're
trying
saying.
to eat your brains.
I think
type
that's
thing.
way more realistic than.
Oh yeah, that's what I think
walking
is
2 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and like that's, and then like giant hordes of them. I like the like what's the with Brad Pitt.
The World War Z.
Yeah, so that's obviously not.
That
that's
went
like
too far, I feel like.
That's like an epidemic, but yeah, and they were like real strong. It was
Yeah.
weird, but I like when they're fast.
Yeah.
I like because like that's more realistic to me. I feel like if you're like that's what would actually really
And
happen.
I think that would be scary. Like,
and
to
I
have
know
them-
that I Am Legend is kind of like more of a vampire thing because they
it's
can't,
pretty good.
but that was badass too.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of my favorite like and this has nothing to do with zombies, but my very favorite post-apocalyptic movie is The Road.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
that's fucking
really good.
that's legit. I like that a lot.
That's a good
But yeah, I think the zombie thing, like the first thing everybody talks about is like, what would you do in that situation? You know, I've had dreams of that actually happening, and like, you know, I steal like whatever car that I want, and I like, you know, go where I think guns are gonna be and all this stuff.
It's really funny because my girlfriend always says, and she doesn't explain, doesn't just take to the trees. We're just gonna go, and we're gonna go in the woods, and we're gonna just take to the trees. And I'm like, but no, take to the trees, Shane. And I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I did not see that coming.
They can't get you. I'm just like, okay.
What says that the zombies can't climb?
Yeah, it depends on what kind of zombies they. We could talk all day about. These are squirrel monkey zombies that are gonna.
They're like swinging through the trees, like coming after you, and you're telling them, "I told you so." Like we should not have gone.
But then why not get on a boat?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like the last thing a zombie's gonna be able to do is swim. But you never know, I guess.
Well, and then the book that World War Z, the movie, was based off of, I actually read that, and it talks about how the zombies being like somehow scientifically like being dead and like they can like walk through the water, so like even in the depths of the ocean they're like they can like travel from one country to the other because like the pressure or something doesn't smash them for some reason. I don't know.
So would they have weights on them? They're just walking on the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, like they just sink to the bottom.
I feel like you
would
just walk out there and just be floating.
Exactly.
Have you seen the poster for World War Z with the cat?
No.
So there's like this giant pile of like humans trying to get to this helicopter.
Yeah.
And then at the very top of it, the very last thing you see that right before the helicopter is just like a little cat with his paw trying to. No. You'd have to see it.
I gotta see that. I never even.
You can't see it unless you look really closely because it's a bunch of people and you can tell it's like people and like making a tower up.
I've got to see that.
And then just a little kitty.
Trying to like a zombie kitty.
Yeah. That's what I like to think.
But yeah, the month of October is been a pretty fun month, and having you on has been definitely refreshing and just like a different take on the podcast. Like I really enjoyed it. But I think we're going to go ahead and give Beau a call, and we will be with him in just a second. So I'm just going to pause it because.
Good.
All right. On the phone with us is Beau. Bowker is an actor, writer, and stand-up comedian from Manhattan Beach, California. He has written a pilot for Comedy Central with Dakota Pictures, toured the country with comedians Joe Coy and Michael Yo. Joe Coy is one of my, favorite comedians of all time, and performed stand-up comedy in front of sold-out crowds in clubs and theaters, and trained with the Groundlings in Los Angeles. This is an up-and-coming actor and performer. So we're going to talk to him and talk to him about the Panthyon. We're going to talk to him about other things that he's done. So how's it going, Beau?
It's going great. Thank you for having me, and thanks for the awesome intro. Like, as you're saying it, I'm like, hey, man, I sound pretty great. I sound like a pretty great guy.
I'm pretty awesome.
I'm doing something with my life.
Yeah. So the first thing that I want to ask you about, because of just the bio alone, what's it like performing stand-up comedy and doing and working around Joe Coy?
It's amazing. It's terrifying for me. It kind of started out as terrifying as far as the stand-up stuff. I actually, I started messing around with it when I was like 19 years old. My buddy that I grew up with was like, our whole lives people said like, you guys should be comedians. And like, maybe we should be comedians. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And I just kind of went along with it, but I was so scared of it because just that instant reaction, that instant information of whether or not people think you're funny just intimidated the hell out of me. And so I never really committed to it. And then by stroke of fate, I met Joe Coy and started writing with him.
That's awesome.
Sketch ideas. And and he's a great guy. And so I met him like right before he got on the Tonight Show for the first time.
Wow.
And so it was great timing. And he always told me, he's like, to me and my writing partner, he was like, when I get my show on Comedy Central, I know I'm going to get a show, and you guys are going to write it for me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll see, whatever. and a couple of years later, he got the show and had his pick of a lot of writers and picked us, and it was really amazing. And
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And then but back to your question. So then, you know, a couple of years later, I'm riding with him, and he told me, he's like, "Do you want to open for me in 2 weeks at the Irvine Improv?"
So
and
cool.
On the yeah, it was amazing. Like on the inside, I was like, "Absolutely not! Are you crazy?" But I knew that I had to say yes, and I hadn't been on stage in years, and so to go from not being on stage at all to all of a sudden performing in front of sold out crowds, like,
yeah,
you know, 500 at the clubs, it'd be like, you know, between 400 and 500 people. And,
yeah, I can't even imagine it.
2 weeks.
Because
yeah, I couldn't either at the time, and honestly, like it freaked me out to the point where like I had to talk to my therapist about it. And, like, it's very LA. I have a therapist for stand-up comedy.
And that's what I've always like told people recently, because I listen to a lot of podcasts that are like from the California area, and then like, you know, Adam Carolla is one of my number one that I listen to, and him and Dr. Drew talk a lot about therapy and stuff like that, and it's something that I'm very, very Midwest ingrained into my like DNA, that you don't go to other people for your problems,
yeah, you just figure that shit out.
But I think as a personal, like, just a personal growth, and like listening to all these like successful people that have used those, you know, avenues to like, you know, talk things out, it's something that I could probably really use the help with, because I get really inside my head about a lot of things. So I think that it's something that I've actually looked into, and I haven't started doing anything yet, but it's something that's on the horizon.
I highly recommend it. Yeah, I totally get it. I was of the same ilk, where I always felt like I'm, you know, pretty in touch with my emotions and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, feel pretty centered. And then things started happening in my life, like people passing away and things like that, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, good God, I think I'm okay, but this isn't good.
Yeah.
Like, I should probably talk to somebody. Like, and I did. I started going, and it was amazing. Like, I just think it's really valuable to just have somebody to bounce stuff off of.
Yeah.
Really, you know. I think if you know, when I get to that point of like having like a charity or something,
yeah,
it would go towards like mental health, because
For
I
sure.
think that's like the root of so many things. And like I was listening to your episode from last week when you were talking about the Vegas shooting
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and to me the root of so many things is like this mental health, man. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many people that just need help, and it's like, you know, I don't know.
Well, not only that, I feel like a lot of people feel like they're alone, and as soon as that they can, like you said, bounce stuff off other people, then it opens up a whole new doorway for them, and they're able to kind of express it. As long as you're talking to someone who has your best interest in mind, then it usually works out pretty well.
Totally, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I highly recommend it, yeah.
And another thing that, you know, that I saw from your bio and everything, and we'll get into the Panthyon stuff too, but I'm just really curious just to talk to you about just a bunch of stuff with the groundlings. Like, that's something that Adam Carolla has, you know, been very adamant about being very helpful for you as a performer to do classes with improv. So how did you get involved with that, and like kind of tell us a little bit about the groundlings experience?
Again, you know, I feel like it's a theme in my life where I was dragged by a friend, kicking and screaming, like, because, and you know, with the thing with Joe Coy, where he asked me to do stand, you know, to open for him, and I found that deep fear, and I was like, you know, somebody who is interested in my my involvement and you know, being better, like, I wanted to know, wait, why? I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be so afraid of something that means so little, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, so I found this sort of fear of failure was coming up in my life. And that was another thing where I was very nervous to go and do the groundlings. And even just in the classes where it's like, oh my God, these 14 other people, what if I do something unfunny? And ultimately now, like years later, I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm a funny guy. People have told me I'm a funny guy. Who cares?
Luckily, you do have that going for you, because you do, just from the little bit I've seen from you, you have that, like, I feel like a little bit of a natural timing.
100%.
That not a lot of people have.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah, like I think, and that's the thing. I think a lot of it is natural. But like Adam Carolla talks about with the groundlings, like there is some training that can go into it. And it's like, that sort of 10,000 hours to be excellent at something.
Exactly. I've talked about that a lot on this podcast because I always make fun of myself because I always I get hard on myself because I'm like, I'm not that good at it. And then I realize the 10,000 hours thing, I'm on episode 81. That's only 81, right. Roughly give or take an hour. That's only 81 hours plus doing a couple other people's shows here and there. That's literally, I'm around 100 hours. So I've got a long way to go on this thing.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally know what you mean. I think you're very good at what you do. But yeah, it is. It's about repetition. Because for me, I used to do a podcast. It was called Two Black Women.
I looked it up and I loved the title.
Oh, thank you. We got a lot of shit for it. It was pretty controversial at times. And that was when things were, even just 2 years ago or whatever it was, when things were even less PC,
exactly,
or a little less PC than they are now. And but we would do 2 episodes a week, 1 hour a show, and we did it very much like you talk about with your show, where you kind of shoot from the hip,
yeah,
have some things that we'd want to talk about, and that even more than the groundlings, I think, has been a big part of my ability to improvise.
Nice.
Because you're doing your show for a minimum of an hour once a week, and you've done 80 hours already, and you have to be on your toes. I mean, you have to just keep going, and people are listening, and yeah. So I think it's just great to have a co-host, and just keep riffing with each other, and that was a big part of my sort of growth process, and the groundlings was great. But as Carolla talks about too, it does get to a point where they tell you yay or nay, and it can be, and it's okay, this is pretty subjective.
Yeah.
But it was great. I met a lot of really talented people, and yeah, you just get to go and work and have a lot of laughs, and it's a great skill to have just for anything in life.
Yeah.
Really.
And what I want to say definitely is just like when I talked with Morgan and Emily, I am so envious of the stuff that you guys get to do. And I know that it probably is kind of more commonplace, I guess, but just hearing you talk about the improv and talking about the groundlings and talking about all of these things, it seems almost a promised land that I never got to. And I that was my original goal, was to move out to California right after college and just start trying to do stuff, trying to be in stuff, trying to work on stuff. But then, life gets in the way. You get married, you get a career, and then I start this podcast to try to keep something alive that's a little bit of a dream. So, but I love being able to talk to you guys and kind of hearing about this stuff, because it kind of lets me feel like I'm still chasing my dream, but in a more responsible manner, I guess.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You're still participating in the dream. It's not, because you never know what can happen, what can come from the stuff that we do. And that's why you kind of have to try everything. And believe me, I totally understand about the life taking over, because one of the reasons why I like talking about the Panthyon, I was thinking about this the other day, when we talked about you having me on your show, I was like, oh my God, those were simpler times in my life. Because we recorded these episodes just almost a year ago, and now they're all coming out, and we're super excited about them. We've got great responses from everybody, and
I definitely didn't know that they were recorded prior, so that's crazy. So that's news, and I like knowing that now, because a couple of the jokes kind of they kind of sound a little bit more updated, I feel like in my mind, just a kind of, there was a really subtle thing with the main character saying that a woman could run the company or whatever, and then just our country or something. So that actually feels a lot more that it makes I get it now. And I thought that's what that's what you guys were getting at, but I couldn't tell for sure.
Yeah, I think when they wrote it, they were probably just assuming that Hillary was going to be president,
just like everybody
and now
else.
It's like, yeah, and now it's just it looks like, hey, should have been Hillary, but yeah, it was recorded before the election. Yeah, that's funny.
So,
but
tell the listeners a little bit about like your role as Zeus in the Panthyon, because I think it's been awesome, and it's a very entertaining, funny character, and I'm so glad that you're actually able to come on the show and talk about it.
No, thanks, man. Yeah, I play Zeus. So the show, the Panthyon, I know Emily and Morgan talked about it when they were on, but the little web series, the Panthyon, is it's like The Office meets Silicon Valley meets Greek mythology.
Yeah, and I love the whole idea behind it.
Yeah, and it was created by Dan Fletcher, who's a brilliant dude, and I'm so stoked to be part of it. It was such a great experience thus far, and like I said, I hope we keep going. I think that the next step might be to keep sort of crowdsourcing for some fundage, and to keep making the rest of the series.
Yeah, and your guys is, just like what I've talked about before, and everybody should go check it out. It's on YouTube. It's the Panthyon series. If you even type it, no matter how you type it, it will be you'll be able to find it. So just to give you a heads up, like just search for it. You'll be able to find it and you'll be able to watch it. Sorry if you hear in the background my dog whining, because he's just an annoying animal. but anyways, like I said, I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing, and like the production value is very, very good. Like it definitely looks good, it sounds good. You guys, like a lot of the, so with the one thing like that I thought about was, do you get to like kind of like ad lib your lines, or is it something that you kind of like had written and you kind of work off of, like specifically off the script? Because some of those situations were really funny.
Well, yeah, thanks, and that's what I love about being part of Panthyon is the writing is really good on both of the episodes that we've put out. We put out the pilot, and then episode 2 is coming out October 19th. And there's like a team of writers, and this next one is written by Coleman Ranhan. And it's just really well written. It's very thoughtful. They really know their Greek mythology, which just makes the jokes land a little bit better. When it's basic.
losing the testicles was pretty fucking hilarious.
Thank you. Well, so stuff like that. That's the thing. They write these great scripts, but then they give us the leeway and the trust to improvise a lot. Yeah. So. And the directors, we had different directors for both, and they were both great. And on the pilot that you saw, when we're doing the interviews, the talking heads like they do in The Office,
mm-hmm.
The director Blair Cosby on that one, he was just pitching me stuff. He's like, what if Zeus talked about this? And Zeus, my character Zeus, he's kind of like a Michael Scott, Steve Jobs, but like just douchier.
Yeah, I love it too. Seriously, I was like cracking up the whole time I was watching it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great because he's the king of the gods, but he still has a little bit of an inferiority complex.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
And so it's between Zeus and Hades. Hades is played by Laura Lee Walsh, who you got to have on the show. She's so talented. She's,
definitely,
really hilarious, and she. So she and I have great chemistry, as do Morgan and I. And so anytime we get to do some scenes together, we're also able to. They trust us to improvise, and we make sure we get what was written on the page. We get that on film, and then they give us some takes just to go nuts and play around, and they included a lot of, because sometimes when you film improvisation, you think, all right, well, are they going to cut that stuff? Like, did I go too far? And,
yeah.
With losing my balls. And no, they kept so much of our improv in there from everybody, and I think it really, when you're able to just be in the moment and create something that's organically funny, I think that comes through on the screen, and so I think that's part of why we're getting such a great reaction, and that's why it's just so fun to be part of.
Yeah, so once again, it's the Panthyon series, and I think it's awesome. So, what other kind of projects are you in the process of working on? I did see that you just had twins. When did that happen?
Oh God, that's the big project I've been working on. Oh man, the twins just turned 4 months old.
Oh wow,
and yeah, man, it's insane. It's like, look, everybody who talks about how it's the most beautiful blessing, and oh my God, it's the greatest thing you'll ever do. They're fucking lying. If they're not lying, they're being disingenuous because look, yes, it's a blessing, and yes, it is wonderful, and I cry sometimes out of joy, but other than that, like, it's fucking brutal, man.
I just have
so hard.
Yeah.
I just have the one daughter, and I can't imagine getting two at the very same time.
It's a horrible idea. Look, we didn't choose this, but fellas, if for anybody listening that is thinking about having a baby or even just having sex, I don't know if it is physically possible, but if you can just, when you have sex, just let one sperm out, just to be safe, man. Because, oh my God,
They create like some sort of apparatus for that to be the case. Like your condom will let one through the mesh or something like that.
The mesh.
Yeah, it's more of a funnel really than a condom. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So is it boy and girl, or is it two girls or two boys?
It's a boy and a girl.
Oh yeah, and, my little brother and sister are a boy and a girl, and not to throw you off or anything, but they are half my age, so they're just now turning 15, 16 years old, and it's definitely almost like hell with them.
Just to hear you say half our age, 15 and 16, that makes me feel like shit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was definitely the accident. They were planned, and so that's why I remember thinking when I was a kid when they were born, I was like, I'm 15 now. When I'm 30, they'll be 15, and it felt so far away, and now it's here. So it's a crazy situation. But yeah, my wife and I are in the process of figuring that out because we're wanting to start the family type thing. But I always feel like right now for me it feels like it's kind of on a schedule, and I'm not a big schedule type person when it comes to the comes to the act of everything.
And I'm the same way, and this was definitely unscheduled. I always wanted to have children. That's the thing. This was the goal.
Yeah.
This was all the goal, was to find the woman of my dreams and have a baby or two, not at the same time.
The same time.
And we did, and I met this amazing woman, Cassidy. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. It's so incredible. And then we ruined our lives by having babies. We were so in love. We were having a great time. We could do whatever we wanted. Look, I love these babies. I love the babies. Here's the thing about the internet and podcasts is that these babies could listen to this show in 15 years when they're your brothers and sisters.
I was just thinking
they're going to be like, fuck, my dad hated me. But I don't, you guys, if you're listening in the future, all right, I don't hate you guys, but it's so fucking hard. I just didn't know, because nobody tells you Well, some people tell you. Some people tell you.
Some
hey,
people are real.
It's going to be rough. Because that's the thing. I sound like the horrible, unromantic curmudgeon that I always thought was just the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This is having babies. I was like, I'm going to be the best version of myself, and I'm going to guide these simple minds and freaking mold these lumps of clay in this cool sculpture. And no, I'm the worst I've ever been in my life.
It all sounds good on paper until you try to actually carry out that kind of stuff, and then it just blows up in your face.
Oh my God! Yeah, absolutely.
See, I like that you guys are at least giving me real information right now.
Oh yeah, it's a total shit show. He's right. Whoever tells you, oh, it's like you just have to say that shit, but really, like he's not wrong. Like
fucking lying.
you will have poop on your face at least. 5 or 6 times. Like I'll just be walking around and it'll be on my shoulder or something. I'm just like, how? And I'm like, she didn't even poop today. I'm just like, I'm so confused by the whole situation.
It's so true, and that's why I tell my wife every day since pretty much they were born, I'm suing them. As soon as they have anything, I'm suing them.
That's why they always say, like, you better take care of me when I'm pooping in my diaper, because like that's like how you feel. Like every time I change a shit diaper, I'm just like, oh man, I can't wait till you know things and I can tell you like about this time when you like shit all over the place and then rubbed it somewhere, and I'm like, yeah, remember when, like, in front of her friends preferably.
Oh yeah.
But
the embarrassing them in front of their friends is the most fun.
I'm gonna be that totally cheesy, awkward dad that just says weird shit all the time.
So you're planning for it?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop her off at school and go, bye, honey, like real loud.
Those awkward dads, I don't think really plan it, so it's probably gonna be even worse when you're with you already planning for it.
I got a lot of practice because my dad's that way already. So.
But
so great. It's so true.
We did talk about the kids, but then what about the other stuff that you might be working on and looking forward to the future? Because it's like what I always tell every guest that comes on the show. You're going to get like an annoying fan after this because I like and share everything on social media that the person does, because I try to not follow a whole lot of people so that I can support the people that have been a part of the show. So you're going to get a fan.
Oh, that's so cool.
What have you got going on?
I just did, I just did a film. It's a short film, actually, and I'm super excited about it because it's similar to the Panthyon in that I was given so much creative freedom, and I play the lead, and it's about a lifeguard who essentially. He lives in a fantasy world, like he thinks he's the shit.
I saw the pictures, and you're rocking a stash too, aren't you?
Oh yeah, and the chops, and rocking about 15 extra pounds that I put on because my wife got pregnant.
I have heard that.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a fact. My wife has lost all of her baby weight. I'm still fat.
You were preaching to the choir. The exact same thing happened to me. We would go to like fast food places and like get a burger and then be like, but their fries here aren't very good. Let's get fries from this place. And then we would multiple stops. We would, and like, I don't know. And then we'd eat all that at home and like, I don't know, a milkshake sounds pretty good.
I've only been that way, like intoxicated, like riding around in an Uber. Like, hey, you need to go to Wendy's and you need to go to Taco Bell because that cheesy gordita crunch is calling my name, but so is the double bacon cheeseburger.
Yep, that's what it's like when your wife is pregnant. It's like
no, seriously.
9 months of being drunk in an Uber, only you're drunk and you're the Uber driver.
But yeah, so the it's the lifeguard thing. What?
Oh yeah.
What?
It's tentatively called Clubhouse Romance, and basically, yeah, the guy's insane. It's like kind of an Ace Ventura, Zach Galifianakis typey guy who he rules the pool basically, and and thinks he's a shit, and then a woman dies on his watch, and he may or may not fall in love with a corpse. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to give too much away.
That's great. That's a great teaser right there.
I didn't see that coming.
But definitely
that's a fun one.
We will definitely have to stay in touch because I do have a lot of writing ideas. I literally have no idea how to start. So basically what my plan was I was just going to start typing it out, like a couple of stories that I have ideas. Like, I'm not good with grammar. I'm not good with, like I could probably Google how to write like a script or something like that. But like, I'm just going to start writing it. And then maybe just by knowing you and some of the other people that you guys work with, maybe we can work together and make something happen and make it actually look worthwhile and stuff like that. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And we'll talk off the air too. I'll give you some stuff to check out and
awesome.
that I think could help.
Sweet. So once again, this is, Beau Bowker, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do the podcast. You are like 3 hours behind us, so I hope it wasn't too rough of a morning for you.
No, are you kidding me? This is the best thing that's happened to me in 4 months.
I really appreciate that.
I get to step away and let my wife take the baby, and I don't have time to go to therapy anymore. Circling back to therapy. So this is my therapy.
Yeah, that's
ranting to you guys.
I've definitely said that like the therapy that I get from, or just the therapeutic feeling I get from doing the podcast, actually, it is like the best hour and a half of the week for me. Like, it literally lets me talk about what I want to talk about. I can be completely me. I don't have to like hold anything back. I can say exactly what I want to say. And I just think it's definitely lets me let off some steam because I do have a lot of things that are going on, and I would like to talk about them. So I guess I don't say everything that I think, but it's just so that I can keep my job and keep everything going in the right direction.
Well, talking to like-minded people is kind of therapy in itself. So
exactly.
It's like super cool to talk to people that live on the complete different side of the country that have similar interests and kind of think alike.
Yeah. And like I said,
totally agree with you guys.
Yeah, and thank you for being on. Can you plug your like social media stuff that like maybe people can follow you, and that way it's easier for them to get a hold of you and check out the stuff that you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks so much. I'm at Beau Bowker. That's B-E-A-U, spelled the French way. Bowker, B-O-W-K-E-R, and that's on Instagram and Twitter and all that fun stuff, Facebook. And
it's good. It's good that you got the name that you wanted, because like a lot of people. I bet if Shane wanted, are you Shane Jones on Twitter? And it's no, you're Shane _Uriah.
Yeah,
because there's probably like it'd be Shane Jones like 2,732.
I'm Jones is the most. Might as well be a Smith at this point. So.
But yeah, thank you for doing the show. I appreciate it. Everybody needs to look out for the Panthyon, this episode 2. If you haven't watched episode 1, I highly suggest it. Definitely check it out. You can find it on YouTube. And then you said, what day was the date for the next episode releasing? Because I'm excited to see it.
It's coming out October 19th. I think that's Friday. Please, if you guys like what you see, like the video, share the video, tell everybody you know.
Definitely subscribe too.
We really appreciate it. Yeah,
because I'm trying to get everybody to subscribe to my stuff too, and it's a pain in the ass. Even my own friends and family.
I gotta beg people
don't subscribe
without being that guy. Like, please like it, but like, I don't want to bother you again, so just do it the first time.
Exactly. Just do what I ask you to do, and you don't have to do it again.
Insane. It's insane. I used to think that too when I put out a podcast, and I would ask like my friends, like, not that like I expect people to listen to it every week or whatever, but people that listen to podcasts, hey, have you ever checked out the podcast? No. But dude, I talk about my life and your life sometimes for an hour every week.
That's what I always.
Any interest?
I always yell at my wife because I'm like, "Have you listened?" And she's like, "No."
I'm just gonna start telling people that I talk about them in the podcast. Everyone, so they go listen to it. I'm like, "Yeah, I talked a bunch of shit about you. You should go check it out."
It's the only way to do it. That is, appeal to their narcissistic nature.
There you go.
Yeah, but thanks for doing it, and you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we're gonna finish this up here in just a little bit. So I appreciate you being on, and you have a good rest of your day. Thanks, man, and let's stay in touch off of the podcast as well.
Absolutely, I would love that, and thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys, and good luck with everything. And yeah, let's talk soon.
Same to you. Talk to you later, bud. Anyways, that was Beau Bowker. That was a good interview. He was
awesome
funny.
Dude, yeah.
He was very funny. I liked it, and it was.
He wasn't all business the whole time.
Exactly.
And we almost had to get him to, say the kind of stuff about his stuff because, he's enjoyable to talk to.
Yeah, that was a good one. So before we go, I do want to talk a little bit about something that I've been working on is the beer review of the week. That was fun. It was just like the podcast. I kind of just like did it. I set up some end table lamps as my lighting rig around my table to make sure the lighting wasn't too bad, and I am sitting in front of the blanket that's hung up on the wall and the jerseys in the background. It just kind of looks kind of shitty, but it's something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to be doing it for the Bumming with Bobcat podcast. He has his own webpage and blog, and I just wanted to be a part of it. And I wanted to do more content for the listeners, for people that are out there. If you have any beer suggestions from Indiana, go ahead and send them my way. I really want to try one that I don't like. Like I'd really want to go off and say this is really bad. This is terrible. Or that just immediately makes me think of the Office episode with Andy Bernard when he's like, I could be a food critic. This food is bad. Or I could be like a movie critic. This movie is bad. No, you have to actually, and that's the other thing about the beer review is I don't have a background in beer. I like to drink and I enjoy it. So, I know what I like, but I can't break down for you what everything is in it as I'm tasting it. Right. So it's going to definitely be a layman's perspective. And if you...
Well, I almost like that better because I just don't like when people taste things and they're like, it's got a subtle hint of this. And I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just say it tastes
little
like...
oaken barrel, subtle hint of it or something like that.
It tastes like... barrel aged.
This was definitely made with hops from the California coastline.
Well, never gonna go there, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You're getting a little bit of a salty flavor from the sea,
from the ocean.
The ocean coming over the.
And then I'm like, yeah, well, I've been to the ocean, so I know what I do know what salt tastes like.
And it's just it's something that I think is going to be fun. I'm going to keep doing it. I think it would be cool to get other people on too to tell me what they think about it. And
you should get a bucket and swish it around in your mouth and just spit it back in the bucket.
Oh no, definitely drinking the whole thing.
Yeah, you can't be wasting beer, even if it's bad.
I think I drank 2 or 3 just doing the.
You should take one sip and say your little thing and then just chug the rest of it real fast.
I considered doing that, but the other thing is I forgot a couple of things. So I cut it together. You can tell my mug is half empty on the middle, and right before it's full. So because there's a couple things I forgot to say or do, and that's the other thing. I literally went into it with no plan. I was I'm just gonna drink it and just start talking about the beer, and And what's funny is I had no reservations. I was I do the podcast. This should be really easy. I could do this easily.
Yeah. Well, half the battle is just doing it.
And then doing it, I was I don't know what to say. I have no idea how to even talk and do this. So
right.
So it's gonna get better. It's gonna be fun, and we're gonna definitely highlight a lot of Indiana beers. And I think there's a big audience out there for that.
Oh hell yeah.
But yeah, I think those are gonna be releasing on Friday. Also releasing on Friday is that Panthyon episode. So check it out.
Stuff. The first one was super funny.
It was the losing the testicles, and then also not knowing that Hades was a girl was pretty funny.
They just keep saying, yeah.
And he's I'd like to see what's in her underworld.
So he's somebody should check down there.
Yeah. He's just for science. It's so good. It's a good great show. But anyways, before we go, what kind of things did you have on your mind? Because I know that we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Now that you're putting me on the spot, I'm not gonna be able to think of a fucking thing. But
we already did talk.
Yeah, we did
zombies. Did you come up with a costume for Halloween?
Man, I'm the last minute. Literally, last year at the Negan thing, I did hours before I was rushing around, going to Target, doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm such a cop out. I'm a procrastinator with pretty much everything. So
we figured out what we were going to be.
Oh.
And we don't even know what we're going to do yet. But it's just Jen for work needed a jersey because her and her coworkers are getting like inflatable donuts and wearing a jersey, and they're going to be Dunkin' Donuts.
But you're going to be.
But I'm going to be Daffy Duck, so I'm going to get like a hat with the duck bill and like the black hat for like Daffy's like face or whatever, and then Jen's going to get like bunny ears and be Lola Bunny. But I should have been Bugs. I understand.
No. So go ahead and let's hear the impression of Daffy Duck. I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't have Daffy.
Like succotash. He says something like that, right?
No.
Yeah, he slobbers says succotash.
That's the cat. That's the.
Oh yeah, you're right. God.
It's Daffy's always
say?
like Daffy's like always like
bitching about stuff,
and he like has a lisp, like he thought like
lift.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
It's gut tech time or something like that.
I can't even do it. I just clearly need to go watch Space Jam. Come on and Jim.
But I'm gonna definitely rock the jersey, and I think I'm gonna wear the jersey a lot next summer because it looks really nice.
I'm really confused. How are you gonna be? Like, make yourself a duck.
I'm just gonna wear the hat, man. It's gonna you'll know I'm Daffy Duck, and it says D Duck on the back of the jersey. Right. But I should have, like I said, I should have been Bugs, but I don't like Bugs as much as I like Daffy Duck. Like when I watch the cartoons,
right?
Bugs Bunny to me was always really creepy and like kind of, and he's kind of weird. Like he always is dressing as a woman and like doing weird things that is very politically incorrect nowadays. If you go back and watch those, it's kind of racy compared to.
Do you ever feel really bad about the coyote? That dude just
no.
Cut that guy a break.
No,
man. He just
if he would just give up and
why is he always trying to eat the same bird?
And why does it have to be so like advanced? Like what his plan is? Like it could just be he could go get a gun and shoot the thing.
Yeah, just buy a sword or something.
And then, but no, with Daffy Duck, I always loved him because he was always messing with the hunter. But then, like the hunter would kind of get him sometimes too.
It was so cool when he'd shoot him in the face.
His duck bill whipped around. Yep. That was one of my favorite parts.
Great.
But yeah, it's been a pretty good podcast. I think it was great talking to that guy, and I think we have a lot of good things coming. We're up to like 430 likes. I think we lost a few because I posted a video talking about Trump. We're not going to get into it today, but we might talk about it next time.
Oh, politics!
But it's what I said at the beginning of the video. So if you do go to the page and watch it, watch the whole thing before you comment on something and actually listen to what they're saying, and don't just immediately say, fuck Trump, I'm going to fucking unlike this Facebook page because he just put a video up that says why I support Donald Trump.
Do you want those kind of people that are closed-minded like that following us?
I definitely want them to argue because that just creates content.
That's awesome.
That just creates content for your podcast.
Closed-minded, just...
Yeah, you can go somewhere else. That's fine.
There's the door.
But that's what's funny is like the likes did go from 430 to like 424 or something like that right after I posted it. So I wonder if there was a group of like 6 people that just were like
calling each other like, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." Unlike that,
go
dude, right
unlike that
fucking
page.
Now, because I have nothing better to do in my life than this shit.
Yeah, that's probably
you
exactly
could just
what
listen to it and go, man, don't agree with that part, but super cool podcast.
Yeah,
but instead you got to like let it ruin your whole fucking day.
Yep. But that's the end. That's the end of the signal of the podcast. The dogs are barking. The wife's home. I'm going to go watch my fantasy football kick ass because I keep getting texts saying that they're doing well, so I better win.
There you go.
But once again, for Shane and for myself, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you next week.
Later.
Peace out. I think peace out is somebody else's like catchphrase.